Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And what we're checking out this time is a new line that Mark has brought in recently. This is the Tojiro Hairline, which refers to this brushed horizontal finish. Shirogami are white steel Nakiri 165 millimeter knife. The core steel on this line is Shirogami or white paper number 2 reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi, which is easy to sharpen and takes a great edge. The heat treat's rather conservative on this at about 60 Rockwell, so it's forgiving. The construction is 3 layers, so on either side of that harder core steel there's a soft iron reactive cladding, and so this is an all-reactive blade. There's no stainless on it. And the cladding looks like it does cover the spine. The weight and dimensions will vary a little bit on these from knife to knife, but this particular one is going to be 126 grams or 4.4 ounces, so nice and light. It's a pretty light for a Nakiri. The edge length, I measure that typically from the heel, the back of the heel, the chin, to where the curve kind of cuts in where the useful edge starts stopping. It's about 160 on the edge, 160 millimeters or 6.3 inches. Overall length about 11.9 inches, just slightly under a foot. Spine thickness. These are pretty thick right where the tang is coming out of the handle, but then they thin out really fast, some of the fastest thinning I've seen. And so it's about 3.1 millimeters above the back of the blade coming out of the handle, but then whammo, it thins down under 2, probably 2-ish. I should have measured that, but it thins out easily under around 2-ish all the way the rest of the blade to the end of the top of the blade. So it's fairly thin for a Nakiri style. The blade height at the back is about 49.4 millimeters, and then about halfway across, which is the way I measure, it's about 50.1 millimeters. So this one's pretty consistent height-wise across the blade. The handle, this is a kind of an economy line of knives. So they put a basic handle on them. They're D-shaped, right-hand oriented, D-shaped, with the hoe wood, with the black plastic ferrule, nothing fancy. You've got a bit of a step in the wood between the ferrule and the wood. That's pretty normal for this type of handle. The handle install, you do have some gaps there the way they install these, so you'll want to fill that with some epoxy or beeswax or something to keep the moisture out of there. And you could definitely put mineral oil on the handle or tung oil or something to seal it up if you wanted to do that. You could sand the D part off if you wanted to, because the ferrule itself doesn't have too much of a D to it, so you could sand a little bit of that D off if you wanted to. Although personally as a lefty, they don't bother me. Fit and finish on the blade's really pretty nice. They've got this brushed finish, which they just call it a hairline finish, but it's a horizontal kind of finish strokes versus vertical. You see a lot of machine finished knives and belts that have vertical sand marks, so this has horizontal marks on it. And then they put a faux kind of blade road sandblasted finish on either side for effect, although the grind is a little bit lower than that. And you can see the core steel showing at the edge. The other thing that's pretty cool about these is they do have an embossed or stamped in kanji on it, and you can kind of see that if you look at the other side of the blade, you'll see the imprint a little. But it's you got to look pretty close because it kind of looks like it's hand done and chiseled. And I think they've stamped it and then maybe done some kind of finish work to it, but it's pretty fairly authentic looking, so it's kind of cool. The spine is relieved just a little bit, although you could probably touch those edges up just a little on the corners of the spine. The choil and the neck are pretty comfortable, I think, right out of the box. The edge, they put a nice looking edge bevel on it, but it's not super sharp, so you'll either want to have this finish sharpened before you get it and pay for the sharpening service, or sharpen it yourself. And that's one of the reasons Mark brings in lines like these, is this would make a great knife to learn how to sharpen. The Santoku would be his knife choice as well, but if you want to try a little different style, knives that are flatter on the edge like this one and that aren't real long are typically easier to learn on when sharpening, and this Shirogami number 2 will sharpen up and just get screaming sharp for you, and it'll show you what a good reactive high carbon steel will do for you on the sharpening stone. So this will give you a lot of confidence. So it's a fairly inexpensive way to get a knife that will be effective and fun to use, but easy to sharpen and give you some confidence if you're learning. Speaking of that, this is pretty thin at the edge. They're not grinding these thick, so this should be a great performing knife. You can see how thin that is. Let's take a look at the edge profile. I don't know, did I do the balance point? Let's do the balance point. I don't think I did that. So there's your balance point on that, which is a little bit in front of the, for me, it's pretty close to a pinch grip, maybe slightly behind that, so pretty neutral balance point. Like I said, this should be a good performing knife. I haven't used it, but based on my experience, it looks thin enough at the edge. It should go through stuff really well. Here's your profile. It's got a nice profile on it. It's fairly flat. You've got a little bit of back belly towards the heel, so it doesn't just kind of slam into a stop. And then you've got that curved tip on it. So what that means is you can rock over short stuff with these. Yes, you can rock with a Nakiri. I do it all the time. So you've got the square tip ones and you get the round tip. And the one advantage of the round tip is you can do this with it if you feel like doing that over shorter stuff. So this should be it's a pretty good kind of general purpose Nakiri profile in my opinion. So it's a great little line of knives. So if you're looking for something to either learn how to take care of an all-reactive knife, cladding and core steel, and see what you think, and not want to spend too much, or if you're looking for something to learn how to sharpen on, if you're getting into this Japanese knife thing or just learning how to sharpen your knives for the independence goes with that, this would be a great choice. So this is the Tojiro Hairline or brushed finished Shirogami or white steel Nakiri 165mm knife.